What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Open Great League, and we've got a really cool submission from Dan O or Dan Zero, uh, who is running back a modern version of an old line that actually used to be extremely dominant. That line was the Swampert Skarmory, or like Whiscash Skarmory, or Quagsire Skarmory core. Mudboy plus Skarmory. It forms basically a perfect core. There's nothing really that can break it. Um, and he has to say he is pretty new to PvP, so he doesn't have a lot of mons built or with optimal IVs, but has been watching PvP for longer than he's been playing it. This is his second season, and these were his placement and post-placement matches. Obviously, this season we're using Corviknight and Gastrodon, and then he has Hakamo as a safe switch, which is pretty cool because Hakamo as a dragon covers the electric and fire type weaknesses of Corviknight and then the grass of Gastrodon. So I can see things like maybe Mandibuzz or just being an issue because Sand Attack is resisted, but without further ado, let's hop into some battles. Okay, right away we've got a terrible lead in Talonflame. So we're going to throw a few Sand Attacks, switch into the Hakamo, and defer that Incinerate, which is a nice play, and we still are able to get a sneak of a Dragon Tail through. The opponent does bait with a Flame Charge, and then they come in with a Serperior. So this is a little bit rough, but it is nice to bait this out. They do have super effective Aerial Ace, and they don't even go for good timing. They are just going to throw right away. In comes the Aerial Ace, but that actually allows us to overfarm, make it to back-to-back Dragon Claws, which is a really nice overfarm. So if your opponent shields, I believe you do win CMP in this matchup. They don't. They let that go, and then they come back in with Talonflame. Maybe you're reading that Talonflame is an issue because you shielded as soon as you came in, but no, they no-shield it, and now just aligning the Gastrodon. You probably can get a full Mudslap farm down here, so are going to commit the shield. They bait you again with a Flame Charge, and then they have a Morpeko in the back, so this is a great Pokemon to see in the back. This is a pretty classic line, but your opponent is not playing it very well. Unable to get the full Mudslap farm down, so sniping with the Corviknight and then getting the Sand Attack farm down of the Talonflames. Your opponent loses with 2 shields intact, and you are able to take that win. Pangoro on the lead. This is a pretty neutral matchup. They are over farming quite a bit here. You are going to call the bait. Is it the close combat? It is, and they actually switch into an Azumarill. So you're going to chip with the Sky Attack, and then coming in with your Gastrodon. Obviously, you do not have a great matchup with Hakamo, so this is kind of your only response once Corviknight is gone. They do land a Play Rough here. You are going to overfarm quite a bit here, going for the Earth Power just to confirm the knockout. I don't think a Body Slam would KO from this range, so I think that is the right play. And then they actually shield, so you're just going to throw the Body Slam on CMP, winning CMP here. And then what do you do here? You're going to let this go. You're going to give your opponent switch. You do come in with Hakamo, get a nice Dragon Tail farm down. You do, and you actually get 2 through there because it is double resisted, which is pretty nice. What is that Pokemon in the back, or are they going to come back in with Pangoro? No, it's their Bastion in the back. And yeah, I think this game is over. Bastion, everything Bastion has here. Stone Edge, Flamethrower, Smackdown, all of it's resisted. You do go for a catch, and I don't know if you were successful, but it does force your opponent to throw some energy, which is nice, because now you have 2 shield Hakamo. You are just going to overfarm here, throwing the Brick Break right before they get to their next charge move. And that actually is enough to KO from that range, and now it's just 2 shields and a Dragon Tail user against a Pangoro, and I don't really see how the Pangoro is going to come out of this one. Even if they double bait with Night Slashes here, they're not going to outpace because they full sent a close combat in the lead. So yeah, just shield this up, even if it's only enough for a Night Slash. Click the move, and then from this range, Dragon Claw will definitely be enough to KO the Pangoro. Overall, really nice play so far. Corviknight into Skarmory, no way! Okay, so running it back, actually seeing which one is the better Steel Bird. You are running Payback, so that actually is going to help you a lot here because otherwise everything would be resisted on both ends, and this would be a pretty awkward matchup. But having the Payback, actually super nice coverage in this matchup. I'm guessing this is a pretty newly built Pokemon with all the Rookity spawns. And you are able to also outpace because of the Steel Wing nerf, which is really nice. So here comes the second payback. Your opponent shields, which is pretty surprising. If they full send a Brave Bird here, they would KO, but you are going to shield back. Just matching shields here, over farming quite a bit, going for the payback. Is your opponent willing to commit 2 shields for alignment? They are. I think you might want to commit shields for alignment back, but no, you're just going to let this go. Where do you go from here? You're going to go for a Mud Slap farm down, and they have a Whisk Cache in the back, so your opponent is literally running back the old version of this line. One Scald is not enough to KO, and they actually go for a Mud Bomb bait. You are going to overfarm slightly here, go for the KO with the Earth Power. Not quite enough to KO, and that is a CMP tie. So you're just going to let this go. You're going to come in with Hakamo immediately here. Nice. Get a little Dragon Tail energy lead. Get the full farm down on the Whisk Cache, and it's a Credilli in the back. Once again, Hakumo's typing is really nice. You resist Grass Knot. You resist Rock Tomb. You resist Bullet Seed. So you resist everything here from the Credilli. And oh, they're actually on Rock side. So that does mean their pacing is a little better here, but you are just going to throw on CMP. Yeah, it's 4-3, so nice counting there, going for the Brick Break, gets a knockout, and at this point they need to get to 2 moves before they get Dragon Tailed farm down, and that's not happening, so you are going to take that win. Victory Bell. Wow, I haven't seen this Pokemon in a bit. You are absolutely in the depths, my man. Anyways, they come in with an Azumarill. You don't have a great response here, so you're going to chip with a Sky Attack and then instantly switch into the Gastrodon. That's a pretty nice play. Just trying to confirm that you can keep alignment here. They do full send a Play Rough here, so you're just going to throw the Earth Power on CMP with the next either Play Rough or Ice Beam, which is a great play. Is your opponent willing to commit the shield? They are not. They want farm on this Victory Bell. And now you do also make it to a Body Slam, which is pretty nice. Body Slam does actually grab a shield, which is surprising because they are completely walled in this matchup. Poison is double resisted and Grass is double resisted on the Corviknight, so they're going to bank that energy related, and it's a Bastion in the back. That is absolutely incredible. Wow, Hakamo absolutely finding its targets in these matchups. Are going for the double super effective Brick Break. You can very comfortably no shield whatever is coming your way from this Bastion, and you actually make it to another charge move. The opponent commits a shield, which is a very surprising play. And yeah, you're just going to let that go. All you have to do is overfarm here. They do make a Dragon Claw catch onto their Victory Bell, but this game is pretty much over. Because now, yeah, you just switch back into the Corviknight. They are a poison subtyping here, so Sand Attack is actually neutral. They go for an Acid Spray bait. I mean, nothing's really a bait or not there. And yeah, Bastion has nowhere to go, so they just resign the match. Wiggly, this is another great lead. They get out into a Gastrodon, so you're going to instantly come in with your Hakamo. I'm guessing you just instantly came in with your Hakamo. Just because you know you don't want it aligned on the Wiggly, which is a nice play, but I think you want to really keep switch here, so yeah, you are going to actually end up killing the shield. They do get the defense drop, which means this Body Slam, it's just a Body Slam, but it will do some decent chip, and you actually still get the Dragon Claw farm down, which is really nice, and you come out with a Brick Break loaded, which is actually neutral damage because of the normal subtyping on Wigglytuff. And now you're able to come in with your Corviknight, and their defense is lowered, so these Sand Attacks are doing even more damage, and this Sky Attack is also probably going to pick up the knockout from this range. So yeah, your opponent does actually commit the shield. Icy Wind is neutral, but it's just going to lower your attack, and their defense is already lowered, so we're not really worried about that here. And you are going to overfarm, go for the Sky Attack. Is your opponent willing to commit 2 shields? No. And what is in the back? It's another Mud Slapper and Go Lurk. And you actually are able to make it to a payback because the Mud Slaps are resisted. You grab that final shield, and now you basically just have to live one charge move. And so you are going to let the first one go. They do have an ability to outpace here. They do go for the Shadow Punch. In comes a second Shadow Punch. Can't go for a Body Slam. That's double resisted. So having to commit to the Earth Power, you do get to the Earth Power, and from this range, Earth Power should be enough to KO the Go Lurk, and you are able to take that win. Very nice. Charge-a-Bug in the next match. This is a tough lead. Where do you go from here? You have 2 better answers in the back, so coming in with Hakamo. Hakamo is a wall, to the Charger Bug here, so I am kind of surprised you're not Safe Switching Gastrodon, but Safe Switching Gastrodon is a little bit risky in comparison, I guess, to the Hakamo. Both are kind of risky Safe Switch, to be completely honest. If you meet a Fairy on your Safe Switch, you're screwed, but fortunately you have not, and your opponent actually didn't even farm up to an Ice Beam, but they are running Scorching Sands, and at this point, I think you can go for a full Sand Attack farm down. No, instead you're going to catch a Rock Tomb potentially on your Gastrodon, which is resisted damage, but now you are debuffed, and oof. Yeah, Manibus in the back. I do not see a win con in this matchup. You are going to connect with a Body Slam, but I mean, from this range, I don't really see a way that you can win this matchup. Mud Slaps are doing virtually no damage. It does look like your opponent is lagging, so maybe a lag win con. You are going to farm to basically 100 energy, bank all of that energy, which is a really nice play because it's resetting that debuff and now getting a Sky Attack off on the Manibuzz. You do lure the Charger Bug back out, which is pretty nice. They do connect with a Discharge and also forcing them to throw some energy, so now they should be energy dry at this point, so you can just come in with Gastrodon and get the knockout. You're already at 100 energy. You go for 2 Mud Slaps there because you're realizing you're at one turn. You got 1 turn lag. That is a very nice play. They do commit the shield. At this point, you have to commit the shield. X's is probably the hardest hitting charge move that they have left. And then you're just kind of hoping that they're not already at back-to-back moves here. In comes the Dark Pulse. And yeah, here comes the probably the Aerial Ace. Yep. And that is going to be enough to knock you out. So yeah, unfortunate there, but are taking a nice 4 win to get your ELO reveal at 2245. Wow, that is a very high ELO reveal. I wonder how that changes like later in the season that you do your placements. But into the next match, we've got a Furret on the lead. Sucker Punch is neutral here. However, all of their charge moves are resisted. Your opponent just goes for a Swift, which is a bit of an interesting play. They probably should go for Trailblaze. It is double resisted as opposed to single resisted, but it boosts their Sucker Punches, which is really what's doing the damage in this matchup. Either way, they're likely core broken by the Corviknight, so you are just going to pick up the knockout with a Sky Attack, assuming your opponent doesn't commit a shield, and they do not. And wow, yeah, Azumarill being their best response here. Yeah, you just stay in this matchup, you get off this Sky Attack. This will do some okay chip, and then you kind of just have to let your Corviknight go down, which you do. In comes the Gastrodon. Looks like you got 1 turn lag. Yep. So that is unfortunate. You should sneak a Mud Slap through there, which is unfortunately not the case in this situation. And they are still able to outpace. Looks like you wouldn't have gotten to an Earth Power either way. So, and they have a Grumpig in the back, and you bank all of that energy for the Azumarill later on. You are going to commit the shield here because after 1 charge move connect, they probably can fully sidewave farm you down. So just going for the 2 shield Hakamo-O play here because you know your fast move does a lot of damage here. So committing both shields here, this could get hairy in the end game, especially because you have a lot of energy on the Gastrodon, but I think it's going to come down to a bait game. Fortunately, you do let yourself get very low, so they don't get any farm. You instantly pivot into your Gastrodon. You're baiting with a Body Slam. You grab the shield. You're 1 Mud Slap away from the Earth Power, able to get to the Earth Power, and this should be enough to KO the Azumarill. Very well played in that end game there. Okay, Corviknight in a Jumpluff. This is another great lead. Obviously, Sand Attack is triple resisted here, so you have virtually no fast move pressure, but your benefit here is that Sand Attack always will have to do at least 1 damage because that is the minimum damage, and being a 1-turn move, you're always going to do 1 damage per Sand Attack. So that's pretty nice. It's actually adding up on this Jumpluff a little bit here. And you have already taken 1 Aerial Ace. Here comes a 2nd Aerial Ace. Your opponent not full sending the Acrobatics, and they actually make a really nice catch onto their Gastrodon. But now that you've chipped with your Sky Attack, coming in a mirror match here, and I'm assuming you're just going to go for the full farm down, come out with a Body Slam loaded. Earth Power does connect. Wow, that actually does more damage than I thought. And yeah, oof. Simultaneous KO. So now you're just really hoping you get the alignment you need. This is a risky play, and fortunately you do. The Pokemon gods are in your favor. Thank you, Arceus. They actually make a snipe, maybe going for a CMP sack swap catch there. Would have been a really nice play, but you do hold on to your energy. And now you can just probably eat this charge move. It is just another aerial ace. Going for another sky attack here. You should be able to get to another sky attack before your opponent makes it to 2 more aerial aces here, I would imagine. So you are going to commit the shield. I think this is the right play because you need to get rid of this jump left. You don't really have a great way of getting rid of the jump left with the Hakamo'o because they are pretty healthy. So are going to take the shield, go for the sky attack, now instantly pivoting into your Hakamo'o, going for the super effective Brick Break. Brick Break isn't enough to 2-shot there, but plus the Dragon Tails, it looks like it will be. Can you survive 2 drill runs is the question. In comes 1, you can, and even with your pretty mediocre IVs, I'm guessing GBL reward IVs, you are able to connect with a second Brick Break, and you're able to take that matchup. Okay, Corviknight into Superior. This is another great lead, pretty similar to the Jump Bluff. Fast move is resisted. They come in with a Clodsire. So your opponent absolutely core broken by the Corviknight and literally any ice types, so like a Alolan Sandslash would be tough as well. You are going to overfarm quite a bit here, now going for the knockout with the Earth Power, and you are going to grab that knockout. They're probably going to get a lot of farm here with the Superior, but you couldn't afford to take another charge move, so letting yourself get as low as possible, and now just picking up a little bit of chip damage with the Body Slam. Unable to get to a second, which means they do get a nice farm down here, but they have a Blastoise in the back, and yeah, your opponent Rollouts resisted, Hydras resisted. Hakamo'o, honestly, its typing is really great in the current meta. Malamar on the lead in the next match. This is an okay matchup. They no longer can 2-shot, I believe. Yeah, so, and Sidewaves being resisted. You do go for a Hydro catch on your Hakamo'o. This could be an Ice Beam, and this would do massive super effective damage, but it is just the Skull Bash, which honestly does quite a bit of chip as well. They do raise their defense with that charge move, but you can instantly re-lower it with the Brick Break, which is nice. And you have fast move pressure and your opponent does not. So you really can dictate switch depending on how many shields you're willing to commit. You are going to throw the Dragon Claw on CMP with the next Hydro. Is your opponent going to let this go? They are. They're going to come back with Malamar. They're going to get a nice sidewave farm down. And now they're not debuffed anymore and they can go for another superpower on your Corviknight. But you did bank energy, which was a very nice play because now you can go for the Sky Attack. And you're actually able to make it to a second Sky Attack before your opponent ends up using any energy here. And now reading potentially that the Corviknight has play in the back, and it does, but unfortunately Gastron on the line to a Jump Bluff is instantly endgame, so you immediately resign the match. Into the next match, you've got a good lead. They save switch into a Stunfisk, and you come in with your Hakamo'o. I would definitely say that Gastron is the better response here. Maybe you're reading something weak to Gastron in the back, like this is a mud slap bait out, but at least Thundershock is resisted here, and you can survive 2 mud bombs, so you can definitely still dictate switch. Your opponent actually commits both shields, and then they go for a catch onto their Jump Bluff, so giving up both shields to like take switch and then instantly giving it back up. Very strange play from your opponent. They are on acrobatics, but you have the alignment you need here. So gonna connect with the Sky Attack, not quite enough to KO, but you still don't really need to shield anything here, so you are just gonna let this go. We've seen the non-channel Jump Bluff doesn't hit very hard, and 2 acrobatics not enough to KO. Now just going for the knockout blow with the Sky Attack here. Do get the knockout. Is it going to be the Stunfisk that comes back in? It is. You're just going to stay in, force him to throw some energy. That's fine. You do force him to throw some energy, and now where do you go from here? Just coming in with your Gastrodon. 1 Mud Bomb is not threatening, but you are going to be put in risk of fast move pressure if you let another one go, and they have their own Gastrodon in the back. So yeah, I think aligning your Gastrodon against their Stunfisk would have been the way to go, and then just having Hakamo'o with a shield advantage here would have been even better, but either way, it looks like you are going to take this matchup. Just shield that up, even going for a catch, and it looked like you tried to go for a CMP sack swap, which would have been absolutely crazy, but switching takes a turn, so you are able to get that catch, and you are able to take that win, claiming the set up to 2288. So honestly, great climb. It looked like you went, what is it, 8-2, 2-4-1 sets. So honestly, really great plays. I have nothing to complain about. Obviously, team building wise, jump left in the back, you're screwed. Mandibuzz is pretty tricky for this team in general. You didn't run into Galarian Corsola. I think that probably has more so to do with your rank, and it fell off a little bit in the meta. Pangoro you saw in that matchup was just purely because I think people are using it in the remix and are accidentally queuing up for the Great League, things like that. But yeah, overall, really nice plays. I think this is a great like version of a modernized classic. And yeah, that's gonna be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.